So I am of a generation that went to school under apartheid. I'm of that generation that did its pre-university education under apartheid, and so I am a product of Bantu education. So from finishing pre-university education from Bantu schools, I then went to Bantu universities because you had, under apartheid universities that were exclusively, for colours, the University of the Western Cape, and you had universities that were exclusively for Indians, the University of Durban-Westville in KZN, and you had Bantu universities that were ethnically segregated. So you had two universities exclusively for Xhosa people, the University of Fort Hare and the University of Transkei. And I attended the University of Transkei, which was, a Bantu university. So there is something common in my education because all through, from primary up to university, as I've said, I went to Bantu schools and Bantu universities. Now this I bring up because I want to draw something that we've often missed when we, narrate the discourse of oppression. One of the things that we learn from, a French theorist called Althusser. Althusser was a structural Marxist. Althusser asks, an important question and says, what do children learn at school? And the answer is that children at school do not just learn the technical subject that they are taught, they learn even more. They are then socialized into habiting certain subjectivities, or rather, they acquire personalities in these institutions. There is something that the analysis of Bantu education has not done. Bantu education was bad education, no doubt about it in all its forms. But there is something else we learned in Bantu schools that gave us an advantage to children today who go to supposedly better schools. Bantu schools compensated because those who taught us were our parents. They took a keen interest on us. And so when they taught us, it was not just for a salary at the end of the month. Despite the bad education that they fed us, but they came to school religiously. But because these were teachers who lived in the same communities with the students they taught, with the pupils they taught, they took also a keen interest in our character. So school did not end at 2 p.m. for us. A teacher was someone you encountered in the school, but also was someone you encountered in the community. And so, the point I want to make here is that we learned something more. There is a cultural capital that Bantu schools gave to us, including Bantu universities gave to us. It is that cultural capital that has sustained us, that made us to come out the way we did, even though we went through bad schools. It is for that reason that kids who go to school today, at a slight challenge, they dither, because they do not have that extra cultural capital that we had. They do not have that determination that drove, that self-determination that drove us, even in times, when things went bad. But there was also something else that we learned other than the technical subject in these Bantu schools and Bantu universities. It was a sense of commitment to the country. We knew, even in the worst of schools, that we were people that had a responsibility to our country. Because those who taught us oftentimes did not get salaries. These were mothers and fathers who volunteered in these schools. And they would at every given moment remind us that they did this out of commitment to us and out of commitment and love to the black people. As a result of that, we learned a sense of commitment and love for the land, or love for the country and our people. Now, those things are things that kids who go to supposedly good schools today do not have. Today I teach at UCT, I look at the young people I teach at UCT, your children. Sadly, I do not get a sense that these are people who can show up a country tomorrow. Their sense of responsibility, their sense of selflessness is non-existent. It shows that the kind of education that they have gotten is a kind of education that prepares them for something else. What does it prepare them? What education has become today is not something that has value in and of itself. The value of education today, you realize the value of education today in terms of what it enables you to consume later on. So how much it enables you to earn when you have finished. We got education that had value in and of itself. The education that we have today is realizable as a commodity. So we value education because when I've finished, it enables me to buy some cheap car or to buy some cheap house. That's what we think is the value of education today. So when you see the generation that I'm part of that is struggling in universities today, that burns buildings in universities today, it is out of responsibility. And I'm going to show you how it is out of responsibility that we do that. And that we can only understand, by trying to weave a story out of my different, experiences.